Well, good evening and welcome to another installment, not issue, whatever. we're not print media. We're off to a great start here.
Can't be worse than the game that we just watched, though.
No, that's probably pretty true. Welcome to Pirates 24/7. This is Chris Halicke. My name is Alex Stumpf. We're Pirates beat reporters here for DK Pittsburgh Sports. We are in Tampa, Florida. Do you see that right there? That is Tropicana Field. What we have found a way to get it in there.
Wow. Try to.
Yeah, because we can't be out there, to record this. But we have found a way to get the field into the 24/7. So there we go. This is called working around your limitations. That 1% of the screen is how we make this all possible. If you have not done the Pirates 24/7 before, if you have a question or a comment, if you just want to rant about that ball game, there's a lot to talk about that ball game. Go to either the DK Pittsburgh Sports Facebook or the Pirates YouTube page. Leave a comment. We'll get it up on screen whenever we see it in there. Before we start getting to your questions, though, Chris, what an absolute garbage baseball game that was.
Yes, it was. And what really makes it just so disappointing is that they talked about, we watched the game yesterday. We covered the game yesterday. They did, it was a bunch of little mistakes that really hurt them, but they still only lost 4-1. It wasn't a beating, but they were like, oh, but we can bounce back tomorrow. We can go back to the ballpark, and it was worse. It was just a worse. It was like I had flashbacks of 2022 Pirates, while watching it. They were kicking the ball all over the place. The errors just really, really hurt Mitch Keller, which he didn't deserve. He pitched way better than what the defense gave him.
There's so much that defense. Because 2 runs,
I can attest. Yeah. Alex was.
I was. You might want to read the gamer on this one. I got pretty. It's good and going.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, but the defense absolutely betrayed him. He should have gone. He could have had 5 scoreless innings and nobody would have thought twice. If he does, without all those extra outs that he was giving away, he's going to go deeper into this game probably. He could have gone 6, maybe 7 innings.
Yeah.
And this game, even with only the 1 run, is completely different if you can hand the ball off to just the A team in the bullpen with Holderman and Bednar, whatever. It was a bad baseball game.
It was really bad, and the error I think that really hurt was the one by Rodolfo Castro, because there's 2 outs.
Yeah.
Keller got 2 quick outs in the inning, then back-to-back singles. It's like, okay, he's in a jam, and this is where Mitch Keller needed to improve. He needed to be able to get out of the jams more frequently, not allow innings to snowball on him. And
what does he do? He gets a softly hit ground ball.
He gets the ground ball that he needs, and then Castro just can't field it cleanly. It's one of those instances where you just can't let something like that happen. That allows the Rays to tie the game, and then another bad play happens. They score 2 more, and all of a sudden the game's just, even though it's 3-1, it already feels like the game's completely out of hand. It's bad.
We're going to start off with Ryan here. He says, "Hi, Alex. Hi, Chris. What's going on with the Pirates?" He clarifies a typo. Pirates, not pictures. They need to win tomorrow and do good coming up at home. I'm more concerned about what they do this homestand than what they do this next game. This is already a lost series. It's a series that even if they win tomorrow semi-convincingly, I don't think anyone's going to leave with a good taste in their mouth.
No.
But this is just one series in a really big, important month for this club. You got the Jays coming up. You got the Rockies right after that. That's okay, get your wins there.
Yeah.
Then it's Baltimore. That's a tough series.
Yeah.
You got first place Cubs and the Rangers and the Diamondbacks coming to PNC Park.
Yeah.
This is the stretch really that shows, is this a good ball club?
Yeah.
And it actually started, I think, back with that Dodgers series, which they won. They've lost this series.
Yeah.
If you want to mix in the National Series in there, because that is technically a road series. They're 500 so far through that. It's not terrible, but I'm not going to excuse, just 2 bad baseball games here.
No, and as we talked about yesterday, Mitch Keller talked about it today whenever he spoke with the media after the game. This is when we find out, The good teams find a way to limit the bad stretches. They find ways so that you don't lose 4, 5, 6 games in a row whenever you're not playing good baseball. You find ways to scratch and claw a win when you don't have your best stuff that day, whether it's a pitcher, whether it's the offense, defense, whatever. You find a way to come together as a team and win the ugly games every now and then. You have to be able to do that. If you can't do that, you're just not going to get where you want to go, because those games are even more important, like come postseason play, which is what the Pirates have aspirations for, right? They want to be a championship team. Okay, well, you have to start winning. First off, limit the amount of games that we witnessed tonight.
Yeah.
And then whenever you are a little bit more, not as ugly as tonight, kind of like last night, you find ways to still kind of get the job done, still get W's more often than you get L's. And I do think a statement tomorrow would really help. I think getting a win, at least you leave Tampa on a high note, and then you go back home and try to take care of business in the own ballpark.
Yeah, there's something about a 3-3 road trip that is palatable. Mm-hmm. I think even if it is you played one of the best teams, you played one of the worst teams. It's like, all right, you won 500. That is what it is. But I wasn't there for the Keller post game.
Yeah.
This is one of the joys of having two people. Like, Chris, go over there. I'm gonna go talk to Carlos Santana and have a really good interview with him.
Yep.
That was interesting. Like him saying that, because that's something that I don't think we would have heard from Mitch a couple years ago. And I do like the maturation of him as a major leaguer, not just as a pitcher that we've really seen this last year.
Yeah.
And look, we said it at the beginning. He was great.
He was really good tonight. I mean, he even said himself, he's like I asked him straight up, it was like, how did you feel tonight? He's like, probably the best I've felt on the mound all year. And it looked like it. Yeah. He had a cutter in the first inning that I think all of us were surprised that it was actually a cutter, because it looked more like a sweeper. Mm-hmm. It just had that much movement on it, but it went 90 miles an hour, and it made the batter look absolutely silly. And he just had really good stuff tonight. He was in command. He was locating his fastball. He looked like an ace out there when he's going up against Shane Clanahan, a really good pitcher in his own right.
Yeah, Clanahan might be the best in the AL.
Right, and so he's going toe-to-toe with that kind of a guy, and with a clean play by Castro there, he's matching him, blow for blow, stride for stride, and with a 1-0 lead, thanks to the McCutchen homer. And then who knows what happens after that? Does Keller go 6 innings? Does Keller go 7 innings? You don't know. The whole landscape of the game changes.
Sorry, I was getting messages there. That's the joy of doing one of these live. You never know exactly why is my phone blowing up? Should I check it out? I think. Look, Andujar makes that catch.
Oh, that was a rough one.
Or if G1 Pei makes a clean throw to home, or hell, even a clean throw to first base.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very different night for Mitch Keller. I think it's a much better night for Mitch Keller. And again, I said the Castro error. We've acknowledged that. There's just a lot there. I am starting to get a little concerned whenever it comes to Castro at shortstop, because I've had a couple conversations with the infield coach, Mindy Lopez, and Castro, the expectation is just we got to position him well. We got to put him in the best position possible, because we know he's not Oneil Cruz at shortstop.
No.
Which, if you know Oneil Cruz, he didn't have a great year defensively last year.
No.
But he was really looked a lot better, before he got hurt. And now what happens after? Castro is not a shortstop. No. He's a third baseman who was playing second base, who went to shortstop. It's.
He doesn't have the range for it. And
Tim's with us on this one.
Pirates stars continue to provide optimism. Realistically, playing Castro every day is short of the future. It really is, and it's funny because
Tom, not Tim. I'm sorry.
Tom. Whenever you have Key Brian Hayes over at third base, on that same side of the infield, and he is noise in the background. Sorry.
This is turning out great.
But when you have Key Brian Hayes, who's in my opinion the best defender in all of baseball, and then you have Rodolfo Castro right there next to him at shortstop, it's just it really is kind of like, can you guys just pull more balls down the line? Because it really is. when there's a routine grounder there and you just kind of have to hold your breath for a second because you don't know if he's going to come up with it, that's a problem.
Yeah, and this leads very well to what C. Pickett Run asks on YouTube. If you guys have something, put it in there. Maybe we'll put it on screen here. What are other options at shortstop right now? I don't think Marcano is that much better at shortstop. Bay, we've seen him be inconsistent here. I think he's better off at second base / center field. Yeah. Piquero's not an option right now. Nick Gonzalez is on the injured list. They're kind of without a paddle at the moment whenever it comes to shortstop, and they really don't have one for the foreseeable future. I can't help but wonder, at some point, are they going to just have to have their hand forced and get either a Chris Owens or select him onto the roster?
Who was with the club in spring training?
And he's with Indy right now. And I'm not going to pretend that Chris Owens is a solution, but he can play a competent shortstop.
Right.
Do they scour the trade? To try to find someone to go through there? I just don't. Castro has made he made 2 really bad plays this series, and they're probably the 2 turning points in this series that, look, the Pirates scored 2 runs. Let's not pretend that they were going to win both of these games.
No, there were other reasons why they lost.
Yes, there definitely were, but that's
0 for 17 with runners in scoring position is pretty bad. It's really bad. Pretty bad. Yeah. It doesn't even do it justice. It's really bad.
The only run they got there was a sac fly, which really shouldn't have been a sac fly. Hayes was out by a pretty good margin. So that's what I don't, to answer your question, C. Pickett Run, I just don't see there being a good internal option for shortstop right now.
No.
I think you have to look externally just to find a competent middle infielder, because even Bay and Marcano, who is the best defender out of that group? You really don't have one. No. That's something that's not going to cost you a lot. That's something that you can find on the markets probably pretty easily, even if he's just a replacement level guy.
Right.
Get a good glove in this mix.
Right. So the thing that I want to kind of put out there in response to that is, if you do bring up a Chris Owens, or if you do, Jay Bell available. If you do bring in a guy like that, and you have another guy in the lineup who is glove first and doesn't really provide much on the offensive side, now you have 2 of those guys in the lineup, because you'd have, let's just say, Chris Owens, since he's in the system, and you have Austin Hedges, who serves that same need, really good on the defensive side, and when it comes to his reward, the pitching staff, but bringing absolutely nothing on the offensive side. I think you can afford to do that with 1 spot in the lineup. It's almost like you're kind of hitting in the old national. I have to even have to put it that way. The old National League, when pitchers hit. But
I mean, they also have someone in that lineup right now who's hitting like a pitcher, which is transitions very nicely into Jay's question here. In the next 2 to 4 months, the Pirates are going to need to figure out what they're going to do defensively with Henry Davis and Andy Rodriguez. How do you think that shakes out? They want Andy to catch.
Yeah.
I've also had people tell me around the league that they don't think Andy is built to be an everyday catcher. And I've also heard people say that they think Henry Davis is probably a Kyle Schwarber type, where he's going to catch, but he's eventually going to go to the outfield. So it's next 2 to 4 months. I still think it's going to be Endy who's the first guy up here, just because he was in Indy. But my God, what Henry Davis is doing down in Altoona right now, he can't be there much longer.
No, he can't.
And they need them both to catch.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of interesting to see that Henry Davis is the guy who's kind of screwed.
Right.
He's being blocked. Whatever you could still develop in his spot, but it's like, well, he could handle AAA pitching.
Yes. Yeah. And you don't have to worry about Super 2 by bringing him up to
AAA. No, what a coincidence. It's going to be June whenever these guys are great. Need to look at shortstops on bad teams and see if you could trade for someone, says Tom. I don't even think it has to be a bad team. Let's look on the waiver wire. Who's
on the waiver wire? Oh, Ben Cherington, the waiver wire.
Yeah, look, I saw a guy who was picked up off the waiver wire just stop running on his way to a fly ball in right field tonight. I'm willing to take a look here.
Yeah.
Alex Correa, how long do we need to watch Hayes hit 220 at the top of the lineup? He's cooled off. He had a couple good series there, but he's out of sync again.
So the one thing that I think about Hayes, and I do think that, ideally, if this lineup ever becomes to the point where it can compete for a championship, I do think Brian Hayes is a bottom third of the order hitter, with where he is. Because the one thing I was thinking of whenever he had, I think, a couple of different groundouts tonight is at least he put the ball in play. Because how many times have the Pirates had runners at third, especially in this game, and they can't even get the ball in play. It's literally looking at strike three or swinging and missing at strike three. At least Ke'Bryan Hayes, outside of a really, really nasty changeup from McClanahan in the first at bat of the game, Ke'Bryan Hayes can put the ball in play a lot. You could use that at the bottom of the line. So I think that, especially the way he's hitting right now, no, he doesn't belong at the top of the lineup. But Connor Joe, is he going to bat leadoff?
Joe is the guy I'm kind of thinking about here. Someone who sees a lot of pitches.
Yeah.
Ideal leadoff hitter.
Right.
Someone who's going to see a lot of pitches. He's going to get on base a lot, and he's going to steal bags. And there's like three different. You want G1 Bay because of the speed.
Yes.
You want Connor Joe because he's going to see a lot of pitches, and Hayes does all those things kind of well at times, but it just hasn't all come together here.
Yeah.
So it is a tough thing. We're going to close here on David's time. We are experiencing, perhaps for the first time, an awful impact of Cruz's injury, and it is awful.
Awful. All caps.
Bay is flash and trash. Castro seems uninspired. Someone step up. Flash and trash.
I love that. I really, really love that. David, nice work.
All right.
Flash and trash.
Castro's in the game. That's the one I'm going to disagree with out of all of that. And I guess I can't say players flash and trash. That's not going to go well in a mountain, is it? No, but I will agree that, boy, they could have used Nodio Cruz this series.
Yeah.
It probably makes those two plays at shortstop. It gives you another plus hitter for the bat. It is one of those things where, and this is where another area where good teams are really tested. When they don't have their top guys, when a top guy is out, how can their depth supplement that? Is there that much of a drop off? And right now we're kind of seeing one when it comes to defense and shortstop. And that's unfortunately the worst spot on the field for there to be a major lapse in defense. You need to be able to have that position locked down. Call me a traditionalist, but shortstop's pretty freaking important on the field. Yeah,
but
it is.
And tonight is a good case for that, and there are other cases for that we've seen, and it's rough right now, and it's a 3-game losing streak, but again, how do they bounce back tomorrow? Do they play an even worse game tomorrow? If they do, then flush.
Yeah, David. Yeah,
thanks. I saw that at the last second. David, great job.
Yeah. And thank you guys so much for paying attention. We've done these. We're gonna do one tomorrow. It's the first series of the second month.
Yes.
But it's the biggest series the Pirates have had in a while. So
yeah,
let's see how this all plays out. We got a couple games. We're gonna do this more often going forward. So thank you guys so much for participating. If you missed this is gonna show up on a podcast as well with all the glorious cleanup crew behind us. This is a good one. And again, just putting it in. We got the ballpark in there. That's very important. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna do this again soon. Talk